And we are live with another edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. I am one of your co-hosts, Nicholas Pavona, joined alongside, as always, by my co-host, Andrew Johnson. And Johnson, we have just gone past the 60th Super Bowl in NFL history. It took place just yesterday in Santa Clara between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. And we now have a Super Bowl champion and a game to recap here on the show tonight. And I don't know if it will spoil it yet, but judging by how you might react in a few seconds, you probably already know what happened last night.
Oh, really? You don't say.
Well, if you've been living under a rock, yeah, it was not a fun night for any New England Patriot fan. It was pretty much a dominating start for Seattle from start to finish in this game. Defensively, they were amazing. Offensively, they didn't really have to do much, which was kind of crazy to think. But I think you and I talked about this going into the game, that this could be a really defensive battle type of style in this game. And for 3 quarters, that was the case. It was a lot of defense being played between the two sides. It was only 9-0 Seattle going into the fourth quarter. And then the Seahawks finally found some rhythm offensively. The only offense they had going in the first half was just off the legs of Kenneth Walker, who had an amazing game in this one. They did lose Jackson Smith and Jigba for a portion of this game as well with a concussion. So Cooper Kupp had a couple big receptions. AJ Barner had a nice couple big receptions, including the first touchdown of the game, which came in the early stages of the fourth quarter. But like I mentioned, it was the Seattle defense that really played a big factor into this game. They gave Drake May and company a lot of big fits. May goes for 295 yards passing, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 235 of those
50.
yards,
Yeah.
or 250 of them, came in the fourth quarter.
235.
So it
235.
was 235, yeah. All that came in, those yards came in the fourth quarter. It's the most passing yards in one single quarter in Super Bowl history. But before that, May, which is really struggling, couldn't get the ball moving down the field. He was sacked 6 times in this game. He threw 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter, one being a pick six that would seal the game for Seattle. They really couldn't run the ball effectively that they have been doing this entire postseason long. And Seattle gets the job done. Mike McDonald, the former defensive coordinator from Baltimore a couple years ago, remember when he got hired, of course, Seattle was one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They are now arguably, especially after this performance, the best defense in the NFL after this performance. A 29-13 win over the Patriots. They get their second Super Bowl championship in franchise history, and they, for their sake, get revenge after what happened just about almost a decade ago, or I think it was a decade ago. I think it was Super Bowl 51 that
Yeah,
happened.
about a decade, 9
Yeah,
years.
just about a decade ago, the Malcolm Butler play. So they get their revenge in that matchup. Johnson, I'll leave the floor to you. You are the resident Patriots fan here on the show. What's your takeaways from this game?
Well, yeah, I guess we're gonna have to. We have to kind of talk about it. And Super Bowl 49, by the way, so more than a decade ago.
I think we made that same mistake two weeks
Yeah,
ago.
I know.
Yeah, it was a decade ago, so 11 years ago.
Yeah, and so
But
let's
anyway,
talk about a couple different things here. I think it was obvious that Will Campbell was rushed back.
yeah,
This whole entire postseason, he wasn't 100%, and it wouldn't surprise me if he needs like some off-season surgery just to kind of like fix things with him. Because clearly something was off with him this entire postseason. This postseason, Drake May made history as becoming the most sacked quarterback during a playoff run, surpassing Joe Burrow's run 5 years ago when they made the Super Bowl. So, hey, that's something infamous. This offensive line can maybe put on a bulletin board for next year. And Drake May wasn't 100%, but that really can't excuse things. I think what we have to look here is I think it was a mix of the offensive line wasn't that great, and you couldn't really establish a run game. Because if you can't establish a run game, they know you're going to pass. Like
right.
it was pretty pitiful. They had like 14 run attempts between the two running backs for like less than 80 yards. So it was just an absolute pitiful time on the ground. And these happen. I wasn't really expecting the Patriots to win. Um, so like I'm not really that surprised. I said it last week. Hey, it'd be great, and I said Kenneth Walker would win Super Bowl MVP. Surprise, surprise! Spoiler alert for
You did, yeah,
hundreds of millions of people that watch it, and he did. So anyone that tailed my Kenneth Walker pick, you're welcome.
yeah. I mean, listen, I think it was one where, on
And
paper, Go ahead. Go
And
ahead.
I want to say one more thing too. It's the score is a lot, despite this tragedy on offense. Let's not act like Sam Darnold lit the world on fire here.
No.
Let's not say like, okay, that Sam Darnold carried in the victory, 29 points, like whatever. No, Sam Darnold was carried by his defense and Kenneth Walker. So let's talk about quarterback play here. Both not great. Both not great. And so Sam Darnold had the better receivers. He had the better running back. He had the better defense. It was an underdog story, but came to a halt on February 8th. And you have to really give Christian Gonzalez and Marcus Jones a lot of credit because they made living hell for those receivers and tight ends in the backfield. It was
The
absolute
secondary.
mayhem
Yeah.
back there in the secondary. Excuse me. So many great plays. I really thought that one way it looked like a touchdown, and he looked like he got 4 feet off the ground just to kind of tip it. One of the that if they would have won the Super Bowl, Christian Gonzalez should have
Yeah.
won the
Gonzalez.
MVP.
He
He
had.
had such a great game. That's going to be we gave 29 points, but yeah, it's not on Christian Gonzalez. He had
Right.
one of the best performances from a anyone in the secondary that I've seen over the last 15 years.
Yeah, he had that big pass breakup before the first half ended. That could have been an
Yeah,
interception. It did cost Seattle New England 3 points, but it could have been a touchdown that play that would have given Seattle a nice um, 13-0 lead going into halftime potentially. So that was a big play early in the game, and he made some good plays throughout the rest of the game. JSN, as I mentioned before, even he got injured, had I think 8 targets before that, and he did not have. I think he had two
not a
catches
single
before that.
reception.
So
I
yeah, I think it
think did
was.
he have two?
Yeah, I think it was two catches before that happened, like but when that stat came up. So it wasn't much production from JSN in this game. But you're right. The quarterback play in this one was not great from either side. Darnold pretty much had chances to do something in this game. Remember, there was the play early in the first quarter where he was scrambling out of the pocket. He had JSN open down the field for with pressure about to hit him, but he overthrew him on what it would have been, I think, a 90-yard plus touchdown that would have given the Seahawks an early 10-0 lead in that game. So there were chances for Darnold to do some magic in this game. He didn't. Again, it didn't really have to do much in this one because when when Kenneth Walker is doing what he did in the backfield, 27 carries, 135 yards, got a touchdown taken off the board at the end of the game, but he pretty much was the reason why Seattle was able to get down the field and get a lot of their field goals in this game because he kept breaking tackles, kept creating space in the backfield, and was really making it tough for that New England defense that had been pretty good this season in terms of stopping the running game for the most part. But they just really didn't have an answer in this game for Kenneth Walker and company.
No,
I
they
th-
didn't. He was
and
the
I
key to
think
victory.
right, and I think the other thing too for New England is there was a chance in that fourth quarter that maybe things could have turned around because they got the quick touchdown after they're down 19-0 to make it 19-7. They got the ball back when they were down 19-7.
Yeah,
But
they had
then
10 minutes left in the clock too, and they were
yeah,
driving.
and then Drake May just put up a pretty much a duck, if you want to call it, throwing a deep ball down the field. It was pretty much a triple coverage, and he got intercepted by Julian Love. They got a field goal out of that play, and I think the next drive afterwards was the pick six that sealed it. And I think it was just one where I'll ask you because going into this game, there was the report that he had a shoulder injury. Do you think that maybe played a factor in how he played in this
Yeah,
one?
I think it did. They said on Wednesday before the game he was limited participant, and oh yeah, they played it off like
I
oh
think
yeah,
he
he's
got an
just sick.
injection too to
He
relieve the
did. He got an
pain.
injection
Yeah,
for the pain because he said it really hurt to raise his shoulder. And
yeah,
listen, it is what it is. He's 22 years old. He hasn't played this much football in a year, probably ever, or 23 years old, I should say. He's
mhm.
never had a season like this. But it's not like UNC was making deep postseason runs for a couple of years when he was the quarterback. So listen, it's a first time thing for him. He played over 20 football games, which is nuts. Being that a lot of teams wouldn't even get close to that number, and just in the regular between the regular season and the postseason, you get the 21. So it's unheard of numbers for a lot of young quarterbacks, where they mainly play maybe 15 or 16 games. You sit out the last week of a year. Maybe you're injured. You have you roll your ankle in like week 7, so you get like another week off. So if you're gonna throw the ball like 700 times in a year, your arms are gonna fall off. So like it is what it is.
Right. And I think, I'll actually won't before we wrap up this part of the show with the New England Patriots. We also have to give Seattle the flowers for the postseason run they had because
Oh yeah,
they
absolutely. They shut down every single team.
dominated San Francisco. They had a really great game between them and the Rams in a game that they were able to late in that one hold on. And the craziest part about this run, Johnson, is the fact that they went the entire postseason run without committing a turnover. And they were second or either tied for second or the second worst team in the NFL in terms of allowing turnovers this season. So something that's really impressive what they did. They're the first team in Super Bowl history to ever do that in terms of not turning the ball over once in the postseason run.
Yeah, and I want to bring up another thing. 29 points was the least amount of points scored in a postseason. So they had 41 against the Niners. They had 31 against the Rams. So like it wasn't like other teams that had better defenses. Like it's the New England defense gave them the best shot, and it's just really the O line dropped the ball. Drake May having shoulder problems dropped the ball. Uh, Running backs not being able to do anything dropped the ball. I also thought it was garbage that a Seahawks defender punched Stephon Diggs right in the
Yeah, that was
face.
weird. That was weird.
And the explanation was, "Oh, well, there's no flag, so nothing can be happened." That is the craziest explanation I've ever heard from a rules analyst. Again, it's not going to change the game, but that was just absolute craziness to me that nothing would even happen from that. I think that really set the tone of the game there.
I think what the funniest story about this NFL season is, and it tells you how crazy the season was, Johnson, is the fact that Seattle obviously wins the Super Bowl. They are the champions. Remember a few months ago when the Indianapolis Colts signed Phillip Rivers? The first team he faced was the Seattle Seahawks team, and he was 44 seconds away from beating this team off the
Yeah,
couch and coaching high school football. It just shows you how weird of a season this was.
yeah, no, it really does. And I know you mentioned it before. If Drake May doesn't throw an interception, maybe this is a 19-14 game, and
Yeah, you never
it
know.
could have been a lot different. So
Yeah, I think for what New England did defensively, I think it doesn't on paper it doesn't look great because the 29 points, like you said earlier. You got to remember one was returned for a pick six, so that immediately takes off a couple points. And a lot of the other positions in terms of you got to remember Seattle also was credited by a great punting game by Michael Dixon, their punter, because he kept down New
absolutely,
England
he
inside of the five and giving
yeah,
Seattle field
multiple
position right
times.
afterwards.
And yeah, you can't really pass from there, and they had no run game. So like by the
Right.
time you'd even have an opportunity, yeah, okay, yeah, it's now
It,
3rd and 7. Like it was what it was because they had to run it two times because it's not like you can take snaps from the shotgun when you're pinned down at the 2 yard line. That's just not going to happen.
I got some funny basketball news for you, for college basketball, when we wrap up this part of the show. I know it's not on the
Okay.
docket for this, but it just happened as we're recording. But yeah, I think the problem was obviously with this way Seattle was playing in terms of the punting unit, and then their defense wise, like you mentioned it was tough to really pass the ball from where they were passing. New England, I think, went a stretch where they only had one first down. I don't think they got another first down until the fourth quarter, right? If I'm not
They did
mistaken.
not. Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
fourth
it
quarter.
was this was arguably one of the best defensive performances you'll see in Super Bowl history in terms of what they did. Because yeah, they gave up 13 in the fourth quarter, but their offense didn't do anything in the first three quarters that would have given them an outright shot to say, yeah, this game's over. Like this was still a game going into the fourth quarter. The problem was that Seattle's defense was just playing so good that one touchdown realistically was going to pretty much seal the game for the Seahawks team. And despite New England scoring quickly right afterwards, you was maybe the little like hint that maybe can New England do this, like they got the ball back, can they get the job done? But it didn't matter because Seattle forced the interception. They forced another interception after that for the pick six, and yeah, they ride off into the sunset with an incredible year. A tough one to watch if you're, I would say, mostly a Vikings fan because they left Sam Darnold walk in the offseason to try to see if Nine can be the starting quarterback. Um, I know we made the joke about the Jets, obviously not liking the Super Bowl, but maybe because New England lost, I guess maybe there's a silver lining for them in that, that sentiment. But I
Well, that's the only
digress.
silver lining they're ever gonna have. So
That's
make it
yeah,
happen.
yeah. Hey, Adam Gase is back.
He is.
he he's a Chargers consultant for the quarterbacks
Good
coming into
for
this
him.
season. His first, it's funny because we were talking about him not too long ago. I think 2 weeks ago, also or 3 weeks ago. How
Were.
he's not he hadn't been coaching in 5 years, so he's back in the NFL 5 years afterwards. Um, and then I think you probably know the list by now. I'll leave this the last thing before you want to leave any final remarks on this the
I'm
Patriots
not
season.
talking about the list of quarterbacks, but I'm over that. Skipping
No.
EPA is a fake stat.
No, no, no,
Even
no, no, no. It's not that. It's not that.
all right.
It was the quarterbacks who beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl
Oh yeah. Sam Darnold, Nick Foles. Who else am I missing? Sam Darnold, Nick
well
Foles. Missing the obvious one, Eli Manning.
twice,
Yeah, twice.
and then the
And
ones in the '90s, and there's one in the '80s.
what's his name? What's his name? It was 1996, right?
Yep, it's pretty obvious. One is gun. He's called a gunslinger for a lot of people.
Oh, geez. That's what he calls it.
No,
Jeez, jeez.
I'll give you another hint. Aaron Rodgers can continue his arc,
Brett Favre. Yeah,
and
I don't.
then
And it's 1985. Was
1985.
it?
It's synonymous. One of the greatest defenses in NFL
Yeah,
history.
Super Bowl shuffle. Jim McMahon.
Jim McMahon. There you go.
So
It's an interesting list.
It's a bunch of bums and then Brett Favre.
Hey, whoa, 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 whoa! Easy there. Easy there. Yeah,
I'll just stand by my statement.
still pains that Eli's not in the Hall of Fame, and we also found out, by the way, I know we did put that on our docket. We found out the new Hall of Fame class of 2026. I would say a pretty good list coming up for the Hall of Fame
Yeah,
next
there's
year.
a glaring hole at coach, but sure.
Well, yeah, yeah. And you have Drew Brees, you have Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri. You also have Vinatieri going in, former Patriot.
Yeah, he's way overdue.
Yeah, he deserved to be in.
He should have been a first ballot Hall of Fame. That was a tragedy what they did. But yeah, Luke Kuechly
And
well
Roger
deserves probably the best linebacker of the 2010s. I think
Yeah.
I'm really confident in saying that.
He retired
And
he retired young because of the injuries he had. Yeah,
This guy, he retired when he was 29 years old.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, really dominant. Even though he only played for like 7 or 8 years,
yeah,
one of the best linebackers of the 2010s.
absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, they called him Captain America. It was one of his nicknames. Yeah, he retired at 28.
Yeah,
His last
really
season was
great career.
2019.
Shame he only played for the the Panthers. But hey, he had that Super Bowl run. So
Yeah, if Cam just dove on the ball, he might have won a championship. That's a story for another day. Do you want the college basketball news before before we
sure,
go
go
over the
break
last
it.
parts of the show? Charles Bedieko, no longer eligible to play at Alabama.
Coach, judge's injection. I'm guessing they rolled
The
on
judge
it.
denied him.
Good. I'm glad this precedent was set.
And it's a funny way to segue into what we'll be doing in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, the last notes for the NFL season. Funny enough, I forgot to mention this too. Kenneth Walker, who won the Super Bowl MVP, he will be a free agent, Johnson, in March. So Seattle,
Yes, he will.
Yeah, they're either gonna have to resign him or place a franchise tag on him, or he'll be a free agent for someone to sign in the upcoming
He'll be
season.
franchise tagged.
More than likely. Seattle, keep in mind, I think they have the third highest salary cap going into next season, so they can sign. They have a
lot of money to spend.
And I think New England, they're up that list too, aren't they?
We've got like 50 mil. We have definitely a lot to. We could get like a star wide receiver and a really great piece on the offensive line.
So let me ask you that for the outlook for next season, what would you like New England to do?
I would like New England to trade for AJ. I would like to trade for AJ Brown because I know he's a good demand out, and I would like an offensive lineman.
Okay,
I would like Tyler Linderbaum. I would like him.
But I would like Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah, but he screams Patriot, though.
Yeah, but he also screams Giant.
He screams Patriot. That guy wants to play for Mike Vrabel.
But wouldn't he want to play for the coach that brought him into the league?
Yeah, but they don't really like him. There was a mutiny
Yeah,
against him.
not everyone likes him, but he could like him.
Yeah, maybe. It's gonna depend if he liked him or not. How about that?
Okay, yeah, well that's fair. And New England will have the opportunity to offer him more than likely. the Giants
We'll
will have
see.
to create cap space for
Trade for
him to
AJ
get
Brown
that extra offer.
and sign Linderbaum. That's my dream season.
Is there someone in the draft you're looking at, or are we still like far away from that because Super Bowl just ended? Like we're not there yet.
It's really far down. I've said Francis
I
McGowell.
mean,
I think
obviously
that's
he's
how you
not going to be
say it.
there, but yeah.
I know he's not
Francis
going to be there. That's the
Moyaga,
guy.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Uyaga, McGow. I forget his name. I've heard it a
The
million
Giants should
times.
get
I'm
him.
going to apologize for
I
saying
wouldn't
it.
be opposed
Yeah,
by
the,
him.
the Giants should get him. You should either him or Spencer Fano, one of those two. I think they're the
I would
best
not.
offensive linemen in the
I wouldn't
draft.
say no to them. I would not say no to
But
them.
yeah, I mean, Caden Proctor might be there for the Patriots.
Yeah, I don't know if there'll be a
I would
big
like
time
Caden
receiver at
Proctor.
the end. I know you're a big Casey Concepcion fan from A&M, but I don't know if he'll be there
He
at
might be there at the
31.
end. He
He
might be
could
there.
be. He could be. I think it depends on the Steelers because the Steelers, I feel like, are a team that could maybe snag him early in the 20s
I would
because
say I would
they
say
need a receiver.
in the late 20s or mid to late 20s
Early
if they could just
30s,
fall
yeah.
a couple if they could just fall. I would say they're both probably around 26 to 27 maybe
Yeah.
on a lot of boards. So if they could just fall a couple of spots, it's not really that unrealistic, but still you're kind of waiting for him. So I would like one of those two.
And obviously also for Seattle, their offensive coordinator also becoming the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders as Clint Kubiak. So he is now a head coach for Vegas. The head coaching cycle is over for all the teams. I know we didn't go over all of them 2 weeks ago because they weren't all filled. We'll go over a lot more of them and the rest of any team needs and what happens to free agency later on in the year when we get closer to the NFL draft because that's one of our favorite times and points of the all gas no breaks sports schedule where we get to break down the NFL draft and then do our annual mock draft show moving forward from that. But Johnson, the next couple of weeks is going to be big for you and I. Of course, we get back into basketball season coming up. I think we recapped this a couple of weeks ago, but we're going to be recapping the first half of the NBA season while also breaking down a very, I guess the word is interesting NBA trade deadline. I don't want to say it was headline worthy news that happened at the deadline. There were some big trades, but nothing like incredible like Giannis Antetokounmpo would have happened. So we will break down that while also, looking forward to the second half of the NBA season. Of course, that will also coincide with the NBA All-Star weekend. And then for us, Johnson, we'll be breaking down in about the beginning of March. We'll have two things to be breaking down at the beginning of March. We'll have the World Baseball Classic that is going to be kicking off in a couple weeks' time. Looking forward to that. I looked at the rosters a couple of days ago. It is a star-packed World Baseball Classic coming up this in March. So I am very much looking forward to that before the MLB season. I can't speak right now.
You're
Begins.
good. No, it's going to be great. There's a lot of great names, and even though you're missing a lot of players from Puerto Rico, it's going to
Yes.
be fantastic.
Yes. And then we also have, of course, we have March Madness too. That is also coming up in a few weeks' time. You and I first will have a breakdown of the season while breaking down the college basketball conference tournaments. And then the week after, you and I will be breaking down the Selection Sunday show in terms of what teams got in, what teams missed out, what our favorite matchups are, who we like in each region, and who we like to win the national championship at the end of the year. And then once that ends, Johnson, we'll be recapping the tournament and then going into the MLB preseason season preview just around before the start of April is when that is going to be coming out. So that's a lot
Yeah,
for us in the next couple of weeks, but I'm looking very much forward to it after a very
yeah,
long football season.
yeah, and our Johnny's looking like
You
they
know what?
might
If you
make
could,
they could make a run.
I said
They're
it to you
definitely
last
heating
night.
up.
If there was one solace you could take in this weekend, is that you got to see them beat UConn on Friday. So you got one thing at least going your way this past weekend.
I did. I knew that was my Super Bowl.
That was your Super Bowl, yes. And they'll be playing them in a couple weeks' time again in Connecticut, so that'll be a fun game to watch on Wednesday night.
Going up to Gamble, or I think they're going to Hartford actually
I think they're going to Hartford
in
that
2
game, yeah.
weeks. Yeah.
They're actually tipping off momentarily against Xavier, so you and I, once we're done with this recording, we'll be watching that game. It's at the Patino Bowl Part 2
And
in
hey, he has
MSG.
a chance to pass his son for 900.
Yeah, he'll have a chance to pass, what is it, Coach
Roy Williams now. So
Roy
he passed
Williams.
Bob Knight when he faced him. Now he's going to pass Roy Williams. That'll be one hell of a trivia tidbit in 20 years from now.
Trying to get closer to Boeheim and Coach K. Trying to get closer to those
I
two.
think he'll get. I think he'll play enough to maybe get close to Boeheim, but definitely not Coach
Coach
K.
K might be tough. Yeah.
Coach K
Yeah, I
won't.
agree.
I don't think will be physically
It's
possible
over.
unless he
He's
wants to
like
close to
it's a
his 84
thousand
years old.
plus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's closer to 1200s. Unless he's gonna close to 85, which Rick, I hope you do.
He
It's
might
not gonna happen.
just
Who
clone a
knows?
couple more Zuby Ejiofor's, like he said, and he'll keep going. I
Never
guess.
retire. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll never retire. I guess he won't. Was there anything I left out of that schedule, Johnson, that I'm not thinking of over the next couple
No, that's
weeks?
all. You summed it well for the listeners, and we're
Okay,
looking forward to
just
covering
wanted to
all
make
these
sure.
events. And I know this is mainly football, almost 90% of this, but there's a whole other world out there. And hey, maybe later in the year we're gonna get World Cup coverage too.
Yeah, that's
So
coming up in the
very
summer.
exciting.
For us here in the East Coast, we're looking forward to the summer and the spring because of the brutal cold weather we've had these past couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to the weather changing as soon as possible. But yes, yeah, the World Cup in the summer. I definitely would like to maybe a little. Would definitely like to preview that before that goes down in August, and then we'll have of course during that time we'll get closer back to NFL season around around that stage. So for you football fans, yes, while the season does end here on February 9th, for us here on the All Gas No Break Sports Show, we'll be back in April when we do the preview of the NFL draft, and then I know we did the number last 2 weeks ago, fourth annual mock draft.
Fourth annual mock draft. That is
Fourth annual
correct.
mock draft show. Just wanted to make sure of that too as well. We'll have our fourth annual NFL mock draft show. Johnson and I will have our assigned teams. We will each be making picks, and we'll see how many picks we get right. And then the week after, we'll recap the draft entirely. What were the big surprises? If there's any trades, like maybe an AJ Brown trade for your case, if that goes down on NFL draft night. So that'll be something to look forward to as well. We'll also break down the preview show any of the big free agency signings that happen in this NFL free agent cycle, which will be kicking off in just a couple weeks' time. But Johnson, any final thoughts? I know obviously Sunday was a rough day for you, but any final thoughts for you before we wrap this one up tonight? The final episode of the NFL season for 2025-2026.
Yeah, for a team that was projected over 7.5 wins, and I had to talk you into it on the air that it was
I was with you.
way down, and then you thought about it, it's like, wow, this makes a lot of sense. For a team, I only expected for them to win 11 games and maybe win a wild card game. They punched way above their weight,
Yeah.
and no one in September was saying, "Oh, the Patriots have an easy schedule." And honestly, even if they beat the Seahawks, it would have been, "Oh, Sam Darnold didn't play well," so that's what it
Right.
would have been.
You
So
you
who
you knew
cares?
you were going to get
Yeah, I was never getting anything, so like it is what it is.
I think this also comes into the factor of how good the season was because the season was the expect the unexpected. I would tend to think next year is probably going to be the exact same way. There'll probably be a team like New England that had a really bad season this
Yeah, but
past year
New
and will
England is
probably
not
get
going
into the
back to the Super Bowl
playoffs.
next year. They will take the year off. They will maybe
Yeah,
win 11 games next year, and if they win
tough
11 games
schedule
and
you
win a
guys
wild
have.
card game, yeah, I mean that's what everyone's saying right now. And
That's true.
again,
That's
if,
true.
if they do go on a run, they win 13 games, people say, "Oh well, they played a Mickey Mouse schedule," so I don't care. So like,
I think the fun part about next year, Johnson, for the Super Bowl, of course, first Super Bowl back on ABC. I think, or maybe of all
if,
first
in a
time
couple
ever
years,
they're on ABC. I don't remember if
yeah,
I think it was on ABC for a little bit, but it's been a while since it's been on ABC. So that'll be the first time that happens, and coincides in a very special day for you. I'll just leave it at that. But it's gonna be an interesting Super Bowl next year that you and I
yes, it
hopefully
will.
can recover from. Hopefully can recover from because it's gonna be a very interesting weekend that weekend for the both of us, of course. But any other final thoughts you have, and then we'll see you in a couple weeks' time, or I should say next week, right, for the NBA.
Yeah, we'll talk to you all NBA trade deadline
Yes,
and
we'll be back
going into
next
the
week.
All Star break. A lot of storylines going to that, and the league looks to be wide open right now. So we're looking forward to discussing that.
Yeah, hopefully for our Knicks, maybe they get the job done at the end of the year. We have to hang our hopes on that right now with them at St. John's. But we'll see. We'll see. We have a lot to break down the next couple of weeks. And as you mentioned, Johnson, next week we'll be breaking down the first half of the season and previewing the second half. But that'll do it for this week's edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. The NFL season has come to a conclusion, and the Seattle Seahawks are the Super Bowl 60 champions, their second Super Bowl in franchise history. We'll see if they can go back-to-back next year when this Super Bowl goes to Los Angeles, California, and SoFi Stadium? Or will the Patriots get back there for your sake, Johnson? Hopefully, you do hope maybe that be the case. We'll have to see because there's a lot to be talked about before we get to that point. In the next couple of weeks, we have NBA to break down. We have college basketball to break down. The MLB also to break down. And then around April, we'll be back with the NFL, with the NFL draft preview, our mock draft show, and our NFL draft recap show. And then we'll be seeing you once again, NFL fans, in the summer for next season's 2026 2027 NFL season preview. For Nicholas Pavone and Andrew Johnson, this has been the All Gas No Break Sports Show. Have a great rest of your week.